My daughter, Rylan, at the age of 2, had to start sleeping with me every single night. And she had an intense fear of storms. I was just really worried and wondered what it all meant. One night, she said that she had been in heaven, that she knew God. And then I said, well, do you know anyone else in heaven? And she said, well, yeah, I was there with your mom. My mom had passed away from cancer 12 years before Rylan was even born. I'm not even sure that Rylan had seen a picture of my mom and knew that that was her grandma. I don't know that I ever even told her that my mom had passed away when she had said that. And I said, well, what do you know about grandma? And she said, well, she has brown eyes and brown hair just like you and I do. And she's really nice and she used to play with me. And I said, well, who else do you know? She goes, oh, there's lots of people I know up there. What was going on? You wonder, it's like at that age, she still didn't know how to read. And there's nothing on TV that we would have watched. Can't figure out where any of it was coming from. It just something that she knew. About the same time, when we would change her clothes, she would say that everything hurt. And she wasn't saying that the shirts itched or were scratchy. She would say it hurt. That her neck hurt, that her back hurt. It burns, get it off.
She'll throw a fit, throws her shirt off, gets mad.
It was a big production. What's causing her to feel this way? I decided to do some research to see if I could find anything connected to what Rylan had said. There were several articles that popped up about the Pan Am 759 plane crash in Kenner, Louisiana. At the time, it was the second largest plane crash in aviation history, and it was in 1982, and the plane crashed in a thunderstorm. The plane crashed shortly after takeoff from the New Orleans airport, and it crashed into a neighborhood. Everyone on board was killed, along with 8 people on the ground. And there was lightning in the area. It was a very bad thunderstorm. I wanted to be very careful about not saying anything to Rylan about it. I tried not to think about it too much. I was just kind of waiting for Rylan to tell me more about it. And then a couple days later, she said, 1971. And I said, well, what do you mean? 1971, I know that year, that sounds familiar. She told me the name Jennifer, that Jennifer was familiar to her. That name made a difference to her. And she just walked off. I hadn't mentioned anything to her in the article or anything I'd read on the internet, but as I kept reading through the articles, it did mention a girl by the name of Jennifer, and she was 11 years old, and she was one of the first people that was killed on the ground by the airplane when it crashed. There was burning fuel coming out of the plane. That was an instant connection for me. When we would change her clothes, she would say that everything burns. That's where it's coming from. Does she remember a plane coming towards her? What does she remember? One day when we were driving home, they were both playing on their little video games, and she just, out of the blue, said, Mom, you want to see the picture of a plane? And I was like, what? She's like, here's a picture of the plane. The outline was in black, but there was a lot of blue. And I said, well, why do you have blue on there? She goes, because that's what color the plane was. It had black and blue on it. What in the world made her think of this? What brought it up? What triggered it? One night I was asking her if she remembered anything else. And she said, the plane went to the left, started hitting trees, and then it crashed into the neighborhood. That night, I pulled up the articles again, and that's exactly what the plane did. If there's reincarnation, then yes, Rylan is probably had a past life. The colors of Pan Am matched the colors of the picture that she drew. It's just kind of, wow. She saw this plane. Ryland had often said something about a big park near where she had been, and that she also mentioned water several times. So I looked at a map, and there is a great big huge park in Kenner where that plane crashed. And then there's also a huge lake not that far away. This has to be exactly what she's talking about.
I'm Rylan, I'm 6 years old. I think I died in a plane crash. I remember being in heaven.
A few weeks after she had shown me the picture of the plane she had drawn, I just thought, well, I'll ask her. And I said, do you want to know if I found anything similar to what you said about this plane crash? And she said, yeah, I think so. So I told her there was a plane crash in Kenner, Louisiana. This plane crashed in a thunderstorm. It was raining very hard. She goes, and there was thunder and lightning. And I said, yes. And she said, I wasn't on the plane. Was I in the yard? And I said, there was a girl in her yard that was killed on the ground when the plane crashed. And she said, was her name Jennifer? And I said, yes. And then she said, well, was I Jennifer? And I said, I don't know, Rylan. And she said, I think I was. She did say, did the plane catch on fire? And I said, yes. I think that there was a fire coming out of the plane even before it hit the ground. And she said, do you think I caught on fire? I think you probably did. And at that point, she said something about her neck. And I said, well, it could be from that. Maybe that is why your neck and your back hurt. I said, do you think that's it? And she goes, yeah, I think that's it. If she was this little girl, Jennifer, and her life had ended at 11 years old, there was a lot of things she didn't get to experience. So if we can have her and the rest of our kids live a good life, then that's all you want as a parent. After talking to Rylan, we have arranged to go to Kenner, Louisiana. Rylan said that she wanted to go to the site. She's like, yeah, I want to go. We're here to meet with Roy Anderson, just talk about details that he knows about the plane crash, the neighborhood, some of the families that live there, and Jennifer's family. On the way here, she was very quiet. And I hope this resolves any other memories that she may be holding in, and that she can just move on and remember that we're here to support her.
So, what street are we on? We're on 17th Street.
Okay.
This is the corner of 17th and Fairway. And this is the neighborhood, and this was the house. The roof was completely taken off. The plane went right over it. And the eyewitnesses, there was an eyewitness, Evelyn, who hopefully we'll meet, saw the plane falling here. And it hit that tree. See that big old oak tree? It hit part of the tree.
Where would Jennifer have been standing?
Jennifer was standing right here. She was underneath her carport. That's where they keep cars. Feel anything here?
The neighborhood looked familiar.
Yeah.
You want to go meet the neighbor who knew Jennifer? Hey, Evelyn. Remember me?
Hey, Rod.
Hello.
Evelyn, Miss Evelyn Portia.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Good to
I'm
meet
Cindy.
you.
Cindy.
Cindy?
Cindy, nice to meet you.
And this is her, what's her
This
name?
is Rylan.
Rylan?
Yep, Rylan.
Beautiful name, sweetheart.
And Miss Evelyn, if you want to tell them a little bit about how you knew Jennifer very well.
Yes, I did. Lived right there in that second house. And she come over and my husband was cutting grass. She says, can I cut grass? Can I rake up the leaves? Then she'd ask me, well, can I come wash the dishes? Can I vacuum? Well, I'd let her give her little jobs and give her a couple of dollars. Do you feel like you saw something happen to Jennifer?
I was Jennifer before.
Uh-huh. They were good memories about Jennifer and the family, but she always waited for me to come out the door. She loved us.
Today, I feel a little bit of relief that she got to hear more information, that I got to hear more information. When we were talking to Miss Evelyn, it did seem like she connected to Rylan. I think they both just felt very comfortable with each other. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful meeting you.
It was my pleasure.
And we really enjoyed talking to you. After coming here, and especially being in the neighborhood, I think she has gained some closure.